What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Power Play with CJ. We're gonna dish on tonight all 30 first round, all 31. Excuse me. I get used to saying that now. Now that's official. All 31 first round picks in the 2017 NHL Draft. I'll talk more about the trades and all that shit later. But right now, just the actual picks themselves. So we got 31 of them. Try to make it as painless as possible for you guys. Start off, Nico Hischier. I had Nolan Patrick on number one. That was obviously, I thought, a foregone conclusion. Obviously, New Jersey took the more skilled as opposed to the more brawny forward. And, I think he'll be a really, really nice fit on a line with Taylor Hall and Kyle Palmieri next year in New Jersey. I think he'll be in the NHL right away, and I think he's a really good dynamic playmaker. Likewise, Nolan Patrick, in Philly, I think he'll be kind of the brute to Claude Giroux's brawn, if you will. And obviously with the trade of Braden Shen, it's all but a foregone conclusion he's going to play on the Philadelphia Flyers opening night roster. So it's pretty cool there. Next up, we have Miro Heiskanen. I had him going to Dallas all along. Every mock I ran, I like the fit between the player and the team. I think he's going to be a really important part of the Dallas Stars plan before too long. It was a position they really, really, really needed to address. They addressed the other position too. We'll talk about that later. Colorado took Cale Makar, number 4. I had him going anywhere between 7 and 9. I thought playing in a quote-unquote subpar league was going to hurt his stock, but that was not the case at all. And he, was a 4th pick in the draft going to UMass Amherst next year. I'm intrigued as to what Colorado's next, course of action with him is going to be. Whether or not he plays, at UMass or they go another way with him, but we'll see what happens. If they have him in the WHL or have him play in the AHL, which I don't think is a realistic possibility. At 5, the Vancouver Canucks took Elias Pettersson. They reached for him a little bit. He's a few years away. Really needs to put some meat on those bones at 160 some odd pounds. Yeah, we'll see you in a little bit, Elias. Enjoy yourself in Sweden the next couple of years. The Las Vegas Golden Knights' first ever draft pick, Cody Glass out of the Portland Winterhawks. Very good pick. I think at worst he's a good energy player, so he'll fit in very, very nice in Vegas and be a good, it's a good way to start your franchise. He's a talented young man. Number 7 overall, Lias Andersson out of HV71. I liked him, didn't love him. I mean, I don't think this is a Rangers first round pick in 5 years, so half a decade, and this is what they have to show for it. Again, don't hate the pick, really don't love it either. Got some versatility, but that's about it. I can't see this guy being anything better than a nice middle 6 type player. Number 8, Casey Middlestat. I really like this pick. I thought he should have been Vegas' pick. But, I think you look at the things he does offensively, and, I know he played, quote-unquote, in a subpar, level competition, Minnesota high school level for the majority of the season. But you look at what he did at that level, and, how well he played when he was in the USHL and the few games he played with the development team over the last couple of years. The kid can flat out play and be, an offensive point producer, and I think he's going to take that to the University of Minnesota with him next season. I think he will be a very good college hockey player, a really good player at Buffalo for a long time. The fact that Buffalo is coached by that former Minnesota high school star, Phil Housley, can't hurt him either. Number 9 overall, Michael Rasmussen out of Tri-City to Detroit. Obviously, it's weird to say the Detroit Red Wings have a top 10 pick, but that's the world in which we live. They really wanted to get big down the middle, and Rasmussen gives them some size and offensive productivity. Really good net front presence. Whether or not his offensive game translates to the NHL remains to be seen. He's going to do more 5-on-5, but he's a weapon on the power play, and I think he'll be a very, very good fit with this Detroit Red Wings organization as they enter their rebuild, which is just weird to say with Detroit. Number 10, I think Florida got a steal here with Owen Tippett. Reminds me so much of Phil Kessel, it's not even funny, and I think he could be in the NHL as soon as 2018. His first shot's phenomenal. Not afraid to shoot from anywhere, and in a league that analytics now treasure shot attempts. It's like, well, having a guy like this is definitely a good thing. Another steal, Gabe Velarde to LA at number 11 overall. I think there's a possibility he's in the NHL to open the 2018 season. His size and offensive creativity is amazing. He's a really good Western Conference center, as I like to rave about. And on top of that, he'll be given another year in the OHL to work on his skating, which, according to everyone else right now, myself included, is the Achilles heel to his game. I think that's the one that's holding him back. So we'll see what happens. Martin Nikash out of Kometa, out of the Czech League, good pick by Carolina. Fits their talented young nucleus of forwards. You look at Sebastian Aho and Elias Lindholm and the other great young players they've put in place there. I think he's a very good fit and he'll gel right away. Number 13 overall, the Vegas Golden Knights with their second ever draft pick, Nick Suzuki, very talented goal scorer out of the Ontario Hockey League's own town. I think he'll be a guy you hear about for a long time as well. I like his offensive game, and I think he's the kind of guy you want to have to open your franchise, if you will. Tampa Bay at number 14, Cal Foote. I mean, it was weird having Steve Yzerman draft Adam Foote's kid, which for those of us who grew up in the 90s, you're old. Congratulations. It's one of those situations, it's like, shit. Well, all of us 90s kids are seeing the players we rooted for as kids get drafted by, the players we rooted for now in, front office positions. So, again, it's one of those situations. You just kind of roll your head and be like, wow, time flies. And I think Foote's a really good pick by the Lightning. I think he'll definitely mesh with how they play down in Tampa, and his physical style / offensive capabilities will be a really good fit with the Lightning organization. Number 15 overall, the final first-round pick for Vegas of their three, Eric Brandstrom, defenseman out of HV71. They like his game, not the biggest guy, but he's not afraid to get his nose dirty, and he is a very, very good offensive point producer. So, as I like to say, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. So this is a guy that you want to have in your blue line as you begin to build a winner in Las Vegas if you're George McPhee. At number 16, Calgary added a really talented young defenseman, Juuso Valimaki, out of the Tri-City Americans. He is a very, very heady offensive player and a guy that I think can play in all situations, and I think really made the right choice coming over and playing in North America as a draft eligible. Tri-City's got some pretty good defensemen in the NHL right now, namely Brandon Carlo. So, he'll be looking to add to that long, lengthy tradition. At number 17, we had one of the major fallers in the draft, Tim Liljegren. Fell to the 17th pick with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they've been, looking for help on defense. They've got all these really talented young forwards, and they really think sooner rather than later, Liljegren could be the guy on defense that, makes, things happen for them and helps, round out what should be a very talented team in Toronto. Number 18, my Boston Bruins. Wanted them to take Vesalainen or Paling or maybe Tolvanen, maybe Kostin. I liked the thought of Yamamoto, and they took Urho back in Nainen. I like him, good skating defenseman, but doesn't really wow me. I think he's a safe pick, and I think with the way the game's going now and the emphasis put on skating, particularly on the blue line, I really can't fault Don Sweeney for making this pick. I think reminds me a lot of the Trent Frederick pick last year. Obviously different positions, but you don't love it, don't hate it. Let's see how it pans out. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, the Frederick pick has panned out. Very good. We'll see what happens, next couple of years. But that pick looks really, really good right now. Speaking of reaching, San Jose took Josh Norris at number 19. Liked his game, graded him out as a first-round pick. I think 19's a little high for him. Really gritty center, does a lot of things well. Will he ever be a high-end offensive play producer? No, but I think he'll play for a long time in the National Hockey League, which is, not the worst situation to have. The 20th pick, St. Louis. I love this pick. Robert Thomas out of the London Knights. He's a dynamic playmaker that I think down the line will fit in very, very, very well with Vladimir Tarasenko. And, St. Louis is looking to build something special, and having a playmaker to go with your score, that's something that, constitutes a really special, situation in St. Louis. And, we'll see what happens. But I like the possibility of him dishing to Tarasenko down the line. The Rangers at 21 took Philip Schittel out of the Czech League. There were some things to like in this game. There were players I had rated ahead of him. I'm not in love with this pick. And really, to be totally honest with you, there's a running gag about, the Rangers not being experienced with, having first-round picks. But I I don't like either pick, and I'm not going to sit here and knock the Rangers all day, especially, a couple hours after they drafted two 18-year-olds. But I mean, Jesus, come on, see what you got there. 22, I love this pick. I would have gone with the safer pick, quote unquote, but the Edmonton Oilers taking Kaiir Yamamoto. The thought of him and Connor McDavid on a line together is sexy. It arouses me. Given how much I love my friend Connor McDavid. I think those two are making sweet music, and I think Yamamoto's game is so great, so great offensively that, like, you know what? Who gives a shit that he's not the biggest guy? It's fine. It doesn't matter. His game speaks for itself, and he's a high-end point producer, which is a good thing to have at the NHL level. 23 overall, the Arizona Coyotes nabbed Pierre Olivier Joseph out of Charlottetown. Don't love or hate the pick. I think he'll fit in well with the culture in Arizona. It's just a matter of the higher ups creating a positive culture in Arizona, if you know what I mean. Just in terms of how shittily run the organization. This isn't knocking the player at all, or any of the talented young players in the Arizona Coyotes organization. But I mean, there's some things that should be, amended. But I digress. 24 overall. Winnipeg shocked us all. They really did. They took a fin. Christian Vesalainen, I think, as a forechecker on a line with Patrick Laine is a sexy thought. His ability to win battles and do the little things to help, make shit happen on the ice will be a, really good thing to have in Winnipeg for the next decade or so. So I like that pick. I'm still trying to figure what Vesalainen is going to be at the NHL level, but I know he's going to be an NHL player. So Ryan Poehling, number 25, over Paling, excuse me. Habs needed a center. He got a big one. He at times looked out of place as the youngest player in the NCAA last year. That doesn't matter. You know what? If you're the Habs, you'll live with that. You'll live with the fact that his numbers didn't jump off the page at you because his, he was playing against much older competition, and that's not the worst thing in the world. Would you rather have a guy that puts up video game numbers against shit competition, or a guy that struggled but took his lumps and used learning experience? I think I speak for everyone when I say, there's positives to both of them, but the guy that took his lumps being at times quote unquote over his head, I think is a guy it's easier to build around. Number 26 overall, another Lakeville, Minnesota native, Jake Ottinger, out of the Boston University Terriers, another NCAA guy, another young NCAA guy. Dallas traded up for him, and they did it. I liked the way they did this. They haven't had a true franchise number one goalie since Marty Turco left, and they traded for one of Ben Bishop, but Ben Bishop's not the permanent answer. Likewise, Ottinger's not going to be ready, right away. This is a perfect situation. Bishop warrants his throne, and then 3-4 years from now, you have a legitimate number one goalie, I think. And I think his game is that good. Number 27, Morgan Frost. I don't think Frost was the best Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound. I was projected to go the first round. I think that went to Connie Timmins, but I think he's a nice, safe pick, and I think he'll help what Philly's done. They got this trade. They got this pick in a deal with the St. Louis Blues. So, we'll see what happens. What Frost turns out to be, but you can be a lot worse than Morgan Frost. His father was a one-time announcer for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ottawa went with Shane Bowers. They love drafting guys who played on Commonwealth Avenue. Colin White being another one. BC, and now Bowers going to be next year. I think he's a really safe pick. I think he does a lot of things well. Not going to be the highest offensive point guy, but he'll play in the show. Good role player on a good team, which is what they want in Ottawa. Chicago, the hometown team, had their dynamic duo of Kane and Taves announced. Henri Yogeharu, Finnish defenseman on Portland. He's a few years away, but he's going to stand home in the perfect modern defenseman. So we'll see. Last two picks, Ellie Tolvanen dropped like a rock. Couldn't have ended up in a better situation with Nashville. They'll give him the time he needs to develop, and he'll do some really good things. Imagine him and Ryan Johansson together on the wing. Yeah, it's not bad. And then finally, the St. Louis Blues took out Klim Kostin. Russian factor was why he fell, which is bullshit because the kid can play. So, again, I think he'll be in the AHL next year as an 18-year-old, and that's a good situation for him. he'll be given every opportunity to make the Blues, and if not, he wants to be in North America. He wants to learn. He wants to be a really good NHL player. So we'll see. Anyway, that's all I got in this episode on this kind of condensed draft episode, post-draft episode, if you will. Stay tuned for more episodes throughout the off season and beyond. Later, guys.